pastimes inside of us change over time. They don't think, they don't want, they don't understand. Change over time, but they urgently replicate and expand. Change over time, and our lives are spelled out in their double strands. Change over time, and we hold as one pair of each cradle in our hands. Change over time. Singing gets students' attention. It also, in many cases, seems to help with learning and information retention. And it is useful for stress relief for students, which can be a big factor, especially if you're teaching students who might not be very confident in their science skills. So this is a great potential educational tool. How do we go about actually using it? So I teach 2 large lecture courses at Kutztown University. One is Principles of Biology, which is for it's the first class that biology majors take at Kutztown. There's a lot of people there who are not very well prepared for college. And then I also teach genetics, which is also a required class in biology, taken by juniors or sophomores or juniors for the most part. So in each of these courses, I sang 5 songs over the course of the semester, and then I gave the students a survey at the end to assess their attitudes towards the singing. Okay, so before I go further, what am I trying to do with this talk? Well, first of all, if you want access to my songs, they're at rickheineman.weebly.com. I've got all the songs I use in this study, plus one other song, Plot the Data One More Time. It's a Britney Spears famous hit. A long time to get into here. I didn't sing that one for my classes. But you can go ahead and use these songs if you want. I just take the lyrics and then sing them yourself. I have poor recordings of them, but the lyrics are there. Also, techniques for writing and presenting songs if you want to do this yourself, which you can. And finally, hopefully I'll convince you that singing is useful and it doesn't require great artistic ability. So, how do I write songs? Well, I usually write parodies, meaning I take some popular tune and I change the lyrics so that they're about science. This has one big advantage, which is the people who write popular songs are professionals at this. They can make much better tunes than I can. That's a big advantage. The other advantage is familiarity. So, if the students recognize a pop song, they can imagine what it would be like sung well. Even if your singing or my singing is hugely deficient in practice, they can imagine what it would be like. And they can also read the lyrics afterwards and remember that tune and think of it in their head. I didn't ask a question on my survey about familiarity, but 12.7% of the students independently and without prompting mentioned that familiarity of the songs was important to them. I try not to simply use the melody to a tune, to a song. I try to borrow the words and theme when I can as well. So please have a song, Every Breath You Take. So that's kind of about a stalkery figure. So I rewrote that to Every Breath I Take, sung from the perspective of a proto-eukaryote to a proto-mitochondrion. Oh, can't you see? You're just part of me. Have no fear for what that means. Here, let me carry some of your genes. So the idea is that there's some resonance here between that original song and the song I'm writing, and that'll help make it stick in people's heads. My song presentation technique is to sing a cappella, so I just start singing. This is almost certainly not best practice. Many students indicate on their survey prefer accompaniment. Yeah, give a mouse a cookie, right? If you're interested in doing that, you could use a karaoke track. Those are available for many pop songs. There's one problem, which is Pop songs have a tendency to do things like repeat the chorus 7 times. Sometimes you don't want to do that. Second, you're using a karaoke track, it becomes difficult to trim down to the content you want to cover. Another option involves using an instrument. That is a great idea. I strongly recommend you do that. I don't know how to play an instrument. Many of you probably don't know how to play instruments either, even some of you who might feel basically okay with singing a song for your students. The good news is the students like it anyways, even if there's not a whole lot of glitz involved in the singing. Okay, so now let's talk about the assessment. I gave the students a survey with 9 statements with which they could, strongly agree to strongly disagree. So to read these figures, which are all going to be pretty much the same, there's always a block over here in dark green, which is strongly agree, then agree, neither agree nor disagree, disagree, and strongly disagree over here. In every case, I've written the proportion of students that strongly agreed or agreed above the bar. So 70% of the students said that the songs were useful to them, so a pretty good number, and most of them at least neither agreed nor disagreed on that. Interestingly, a considerably higher proportion of students said that the songs were an effective use of classroom. Now, that may seem contradictory, and I don't really know why it is, but I can come up with some good reasons. They might have noticed other students were benefiting from it, and also, they may have, as you can see, the vast majority of students thought that the songs were a helpful break from lecture that allowed them to refocus their attention. It's possible they did not register that as being a useful aspect of the song, but still thought it was an effective use of class time. So it's hard to know exactly what's going on there, but it might be one of those 2 reasons. So this is kind of low-hanging fruit. It would be really sad if I broke out singing in my lectures and people didn't at least think it allowed them to refocus their attention. But nonetheless, it worked out. And also, 91% of students said the songs made them feel more engaged in the class. Again, I think that's one of the strengths of singing. It shows the professor kind of, sinking to the level of pop culture. I think that can increase engagement. As far as learning and retention, so 71% of students said the songs helped them understand the material. That's approximately the same number that said the songs were useful to them. Only about 58% of students said the songs helped them memorize terms. That might be a function of the type of songs I tend to do. So in that evolution song I sang, for example, it wasn't loaded with terms. It was about the idea of evolution as an unguided process. So that might be reflected in this, and it's quite possible, I suspect, to write songs which have more vocabulary and really emphasize the memorization of terms. Now, presentation technique. So the vast majority of students liked that I had the lyrics visible on the PowerPoint as I sang. So when I'm singing for my class, I present the lyrics much like I did on that first slide. The students like that, and this makes sense because one interesting study actually showed that students presented with a recording of a song actually retained the material better when they were presented with just the lyrics to the song than when they were presented with an elaborate music video. This is great news for anyone who wants to sing with songs, because it's a lot easier to put some words up on a slide than to make a music video. So it also makes sense because just like with pop songs, sometimes when you're singing these things, it gets a little hard to understand the words. So I wrote this song to the tune of Call Me Maybe from one chromosome that had been separated during meiosis from its homologue and now must find a new homologue during a new meiosis. You could complete me, our genes matched up oh so neatly, recessive alleles matched discreetly, recombining oh so sweetly. Okay, so if you didn't have the lyrics there, you might have missed some words. I also, you may have noticed, I have annotations on my lyrics. The vast majority of students also found those useful. What I do is I add red arrows to my lyrics. These are mostly to remind me to advance a slide, because otherwise I get caught up in the music and I forget to do it. And the annotations contain elaborations or definitions of vocabulary words or clarification of things presented metaphorically in the song. So, you could complete me, our genes matched up oh so neatly, recessive alleles massed discreetly, recombining oh so sweetly. So then I just add those in as I'm singing. This is really helpful because, like, if you're trying to work the phrase semi-conservative replication into your song, that's tough to do. It's a little easier to kind of refer to it obliquely and then put a note in, making sure the students understand what it's supposed to be. It also means that if you're using, for example, my songs, you have an easy way of emphasizing the content that you want to emphasize without having to mess around with changing the lyrics. Okay, so what do I hope you got out of this talk? My songs available here. If you think my songs are nothing special and you could do better, I agree with you. Use these techniques to write your own songs. It's not that hard. It takes a lot of time, but all you need to do is pull up the lyrics to a song, ideally one that your students will know. When I've written these to songs that students don't know, I get much less of a reaction. Use an online rhyming dictionary and get to work. It's pretty fun to do, too. And finally, singing is useful and it doesn't require great artistic ability. The students don't need you to play instruments. They don't need you to make fancy music videos. They enjoy the singing just by itself. Okay, so I would like to thank Kutztown University for funding my travel here and letting me teach, and my students for letting me sing to them. Any questions? Have I thought about letting my students make up the songs? The answer is yes. I didn't do that in either of these courses. I have done it in the past. I would be hesitant about doing that. Well, I would be hesitant about making them sing the songs as a required portion of the course. I've done that in the past as an extra credit assignment and then provided other extra credit alternatives. Some students are very, very resistant to doing anything like singing. But it worked pretty well when I did it as an extra credit assignment. I had just a few students do it, but they enjoyed it and the other students enjoyed it as well.